moving on to the next section, Marengovation, Innovation in Healthcare. Marengo Asia stands for innovation and compassionate care, and to honor those who are making it possible, may I invite on stage the chairpersons for the day. Professor George Valmahas, if you'll please stay back because you're chairing this session. He's the John F. Burke Professor of Surgery at Harvard Medical School, also the Chief of Division of Trauma, Emergency Surgery and Surgical Critical Care at Mass Gen. Joining him on stage is Dr. Praveen Gupta, Chairman of the Marengo Asia International Institute of Neuro and Spine. And also joining them is Dr. Ganesh Sambat, Founder and Managing Partner of MedArthur Capital. Mr. Ganesh Sabat heads a sector-focused investment platform supporting high-potential companies in medtech, medical devices, and digital healthcare emerging from India and scaling globally. He served as the CEO of Sahajanand Medical Technologies, where he played a key role in building and scaling a complex medical device business. In addition, he works with founders on pricing strategy, unit economics, and sustainable business models, as well as organizational design, governance frameworks, and leadership development, strengthening institutional capacity within growing companies. Could we have Mr. Ganesh Sabat on the stage, please? May I request the speakers to please join the chairpersons on the stage? Mr. Chirag Shah, co-founder and CEO of Rimo Technologies Private Limited. Mr. Kaushal Kothari, founder and CEO of Ripple Healthcare. Dr. Ashwin Bele, co-founder of Life Science Presense. Just of note, gentlemen on the console and for the chairs, each of the speakers in this session are allotted 8 minutes of time plus 2 extra, so 10 minutes of time in total. This is a shorter session than the other sessions that we've had so far. Thank you.
We will definitely keep it on time because everybody wants to go to lunch, but this is an extremely important session because for the most part we talked about governmental oversight, but now I think we will talk about extremely important private innovation, where so many things come from and get advanced is by the amazing work that CEOs like you do with your startup businesses and the amazingly innovative work that you do. Our first speaker is Dr. Chirag Shah, who is the CEO and co-founder of Rimo. I say it correctly, is it Rimo? Rimo. And this is a healthcare startup that focuses on improving rehabilitation outcomes. So important. We've talked about the acute care, about the pre-hospital care. We haven't talked enough about the aftercare, the care that the patient should receive after the acute injuries are addressed. And your company addresses exactly this issue. We're very much looking forward to seeing the innovative strategies that you have.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. And just to start with a very small, brief introduction about the company vision. As you all read, we are called Rimo, and it stands for Rediscover Your Mobility. We want to be a strong pillar of support in aiding the movement health journey for 2.4 billion people across the globe. This is a very huge problem. As we are in a trauma conference, a lot of people recovering from various kinds of trauma and other ailments need rehabilitation to become completely independent and live a life of good quality. Our specific focus is focused on neurological ailments such as stroke, etc., which are paralyzing more than 1 million patients in India every year. When a person gets paralyzed, it becomes really difficult. Your life changes suddenly. My father himself was a stroke survivor, so I've seen it firsthand how it's life altering for patients. And what is very difficult here is these patients need a lot of time and a lot of support from therapists to recover. Patients might be spending almost 10 times as compared to an orthopedic ailment, and maybe the recovery cycles are almost 3 to 6 months where you are just becoming independent. Our goal is to build an advanced robotics and tech stack to make rehab 10 times more efficient. The way we are doing this is we are looking at 3 aspects. The first is quantification. How do we quantify how a person is improving? How do we make this as less or manually dependent as possible, so one clinical specialist can treat multiple patients at any point in time? And how do we ensure that the patient really continues rehabilitation? So robotics, AI, and virtual reality are some of the core pillars of our solutions. Through this, we have observed that we are improving both clinical and operational efficiency. More than 50% of the workload for therapists can be reduced in certain tasks. By increasing repetitions and compliance, we are seeing recovery getting accelerated almost by 20 to 50%. Now, when we look at the local challenge, there are less than 25,000 rehab centers for the entire population of India. And all of these centers are budget constrained, have small spaces, and have therapists who have not previously used any technical devices. So making things affordable, portable and compact and simple is very critical for widespread adoption of such solutions across the globe. We have built our flagship product, which is a robotic device. It's a compact solution which can be used for more than 20 different exercises of the body. This solution has games. It is connected to a software for digitizing progress. And this solution now is helping more than 1,000 patients on a daily basis in India. So as you can see, we can assist a patient right from day 0 till the last day in the hospital, and probably even in outpatient centers, right from assistive training to resistive training for strengthening. This is one of the first devices in robotic segment in India, and it's patented. We are also filing 5 more patents which are under review. Our larger vision is to enable 90% of therapy through technology. We have also launched a balance training system called MEND and a cognition and reaction training system called NUDGE. We are developing virtual reality and other robotic solutions to help in acute settings as well. The impact we are creating is quite elaborate. Some facts that I would like to highlight is more than 95% of our customers are first-time buyers of technology. 40% of these solutions are being installed in tier 2 cities where rehab was a very difficult proposition, and now they have tech-enabled rehab. We are now in almost 16 states and almost 30 cities across India. We have recently also launched our devices in UAE, Singapore and Malaysia. one small success story that I would like to share. From young adults to pediatric care, we see results across patient portfolios and conditions. It's very satisfying to see that we are able to help patients as engineers improve along with doctors. And the biggest win in this journey so far has been able to help my father, who got a stroke in 2021. His left side got paralyzed, and with the help of our solution, we were able to accelerate his recovery. Looking forward to create this impact for everybody across India and the globe. So happy to be on this platform. Thank you so much to the organizers. And we've been supported by various organizations, Government of India, private entities, and thank you so much for this opportunity once again.
So we'll take questions at the end. So I'm glad to invite Mr. Kaushal Kothari, founder and CEO of Ripple Healthcare. Kaushal is a chemical engineer turned medtech entrepreneur driven by mission to make aging safer and more dignified. As a founder and CEO of Ripple Healthcare, he is innovator behind Hip Pro Plus, an award-winning IoT-enabled fall prevention wearable designed to protect elderly from life-threatening hip fractures and fracture-related injuries. As we all know, hip fracture is more deadly than a myocardial infarction. People after hip fracture survive lesser than a myocardial infarction. So they are actually working to prevent fall-related injuries among the elderly. Hip Pro is an intelligent wearable protection system designed to significantly reduce the hip fractures caused by falls. Another innovation is Raksha, designed specifically for elderly safety and continuous health monitoring. It is a 24/7 safety companion for elders. Mr. Kaushal Kothari, your stage, please.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen Gupta, sir, for the kind, warm introduction. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So, let me start with a quick video. Falls, which we all just witnessed, unfortunately, is a sad reality of millions of elderly people worldwide. I know it was very disheartening to see our elders falling. However, falls leads to longer hospitalization, permanent disability, and even painful deaths. The most sinister consequence of a fall is a serious hip fracture, which is also the costliest osteoporotic fracture in the entire healthcare ecosystem. And the problem is so atrocious that 60% of elders with an hip injury are completely or partially dependent on their caregivers for basic daily routine activities like getting out of the bed or change of clothes or use of toilets. Unfortunately, 40% of our elders die within 6 months to a year from an hip injury. When we got to know this stats, it was mind-boggling to us, and that's where we decided that something has to be done in this space. To solve this huge, global, atrocious problem, we innovated a smart wearable belt to be worn at the waist. As you can see, the belt has protective cushions, and the sensors and the algorithm understands the person's risk of fall. Based on the risk, the cushions which are there gets inflated and stays inflated. In case the wearer encounters any misfortunate fall, these inflated airbags are there to protect them from traumatic injury by taking the impact of the generated, thus preventing them from injuries. So I'm very thrilled to introduce a technology patent granted as well as ISO 13485 certified device called Hip Pro. It's a lightweight, ultra comfortable, can be easily donned and doffed by any elderly person in just matter of seconds. All the electronic hardware are completely sealed in an IP68 rated casing, making it water, dust, sweat resistant. Also, this is an affordable option for not just for Indian elders but any elders across the world. Apart from offering effective protection, the device tracks, monitors remotely their gait, balance, postural sway, and using this data, we understand the person's future risk of fall, and this data is also shared with the clinician. Thus, a clinician can consult the patient and their caregivers that whether the person is at high risk of fall, and if so, what is the probability of him or her falling in the next couple of days. Apart from the vital monitoring, it also has an SOS button, which in case an elder wants to call for help, can press the button and on-demand help can be requested to the caregivers on their WhatsApp itself, making a very holistic solution for elders. For example, if an elder is facing any kind of a chest pain or any uneasiness, with the press of a button, they can just request for help and the caregiver will be notified on their WhatsApp, and thus they can reach out to their elders ASAP. So currently, the product is undergoing clinical validation at All India Institute of Medical Science, that is AIIMS Delhi, as well as at Marengo Asia Hospital. We have been interacting right from the start with a lot of elders and their caregivers and understanding their real pain points. A lot of our elders have been proactively giving us the necessary inputs and has been the guiding light for our product journey. They have actually even told us what color of the belt should be and what is the shape, what is the design that they would like. Because of which the belt has become so, in a way, in line with their clothing, that it doesn't feel that they are even wearing something like a belt or a medical device in general. So I'm very thankful to all our elders, all our supporters. Also, a lot of clinicians have helped us in giving us the necessary inputs, what is to be there for the device to make it least behavioral modification required for an elder to use the device. On comparing HipPro with our global competitors, we are 3x lighter, have all the necessary value-added features as per our global competitors which are having. The beautiful thing about our device is that it has no recurring cost whatsoever and is an affordable option for millions of elderly people across the world. Apart from this, as our intent is to prevent elders from falling in the first place itself, or even in case they are falling, they have to be notified, we moved a step ahead and innovated a smart wearable device in a format which is in a watch, but it is not a smart watch that only detects fall. It monitors their vitals. There are for demented patients, it also senses their geofencing location, and if any cardiovascular some uncertainty is there, it also gives them the notification. So it can be used across the patients as well as a customer can buy it for their monitoring their health. India is home to 16 crores elder and the world is aging fast. As per WHO, 5 crore falls were witnessed every year in India alone, out of which 1 crore falls resulted into an injury, a serious injury required hospitalization. As per 2021 data, we see that more than 15 lakh hip surgeries were seen just in India. So this is the target market we are addressing at this point, that approaching our hip fracture, history of fall, frail, cognitively impaired patients via the recommendation of our clinicians, that is orthopedicians, geriatricians and physiotherapists, who are prescribing or recommending our device to them. As this is a Class A medical device, our intent is to provide the device at various pharmaceutical stores. So just after the surgery itself, be it a THR, TKR or CABG surgery, the device is provided within the hospital pharmaceutical store and the patient is leaving the premises with the device. Also, we are tying up with a lot of global insurance players internationally, Western countries, and providing or increasing our reach globally. All of this was made possible thanks to the wonderful team we have. A strong, credible team is required to make this thing successful. Also, we are blessed to have stalwarts from AIIMS and IIT Delhi, professors from there, helping us, giving us the necessary clinical inputs in the product development, testing, as well as patient access was made possible thanks to the clinicians we have partnered with. I am myself a grad from AIIMS IIT Delhi, worked in medical device area for about 5 years and had 3 years prior experience. My co-founder Prashant has been working in the electronics domain for made projects for DRDO, has about 8 years of experience. We have Jaya Krishna JK, who's the Chief Design Officer. He has 14 years of experience and worked into multiple MNCs, medical device companies like Philips Healthcare, GE Healthcare, And we have a wonderful team, young team member who just is in his 11th standard. He, got to know about our product because his Nanaji was using it, and he was so fascinated. He reached out to us, and then he wanted to work in this area, and he showed so much passion that we couldn't say no to him. And we have Akshaj, who has been working on the Raksha device and has been an integral team member to design the UX as well as the algorithm, and brings out a very fresh perspective and out of the box thinking, and added that flavor in our team which is required to think beyond, because the generation gap which is there within the team and him can actually bring out a very tremendous results, I would say. So we have been recognized at various platforms, be it international, be it national. We are proud to present our device in a show called Idea Buzz, which is similar to Shark Tank India, and we were very happy to show the device, launch the device to the Indian audience at a stage like Idea Buzz. So we are not stopping here. This is our first generation product. With this, we are also working for Parkinson's, which is our new product, which will be coming in a year to the market to prevent the freezing of gait in the Parkinson's patients. We have been very thankful and supported very well with the schemes of Government of India, and there have been multiple supporters who have enabled us to reach this stage we are, and we are very grateful and thankful to them. At last, I would like to state what we are building is not just mere orthopedic intervention, but a catalyst that will empower millions of elderly people to become Atmanirbhar. Thank you so much. Looking forward to your suggestions, feedbacks, and comments. Thank you.
Next up on stage is Dr. Ashwini Bele. He's a PhD co-founder of Life Science ProSense, a healthcare AI company building clinical intelligence tools that help hospitals monitor and detect patient deterioration early and streamline workflows and reduce clinical workload. It's an Indian medtech company that provides wireless wearable devices as well as connectivity to existing bedside monitors for continuous monitoring of vital signs across hospital ambulance, wards, step-down units, ICUs, home settings. Within the life science ecosystem, Presence AI serves as the intelligence layer that analyzes continuous physiological data alongside clinical context. It delivers predictive insights to detect early patient deterioration and generative AI to support documentation and workflow efficiency. Dr. Ashwin Bele, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know lunch is important, so I'll try and be brief. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to you guys. And what I'm going to be talking about today is trying to think about how there are gaps in monitoring, especially in acute care, trauma care, and such, and how we have tried to reimagine that and try and build a solution. You might have seen this scenario described over and over again through many other talks yesterday and today. I'm going to think of this from a data perspective. So if you think about the first scene of the incident where the patient is picked up by the ambulance, very little is known about the patient. Perhaps the patient is unresponsive, you don't know whether they're hypertensive, whether they have diabetes, etc., etc. Very little is known. But a lot of critical decision making has to happen despite the dearth of data that's happening in that situation. Then you move into the transport layer. We heard a lot of doctors say, let's treat the golden hour once they enter the ER. The challenge is transport in itself is difficult, and the knowledge that is gained during the transport doesn't exist. And so that's the biggest problem there. There's not much of data harvesting, data collection. There's no two-way communication that's happening. The paramedics are trying to help support the patient as well as communicate to the ER, trying to get them ready to receive the patient. And there's a lot of gaps in all of that. And then finally, when the patient does reach the ER, there's again a lot of critical decision making that needs to happen, resource allocation, imaging needs to be opened up, blood products need to be made ready, etc. And if that has not been communicated clearly enough, which is often the case, they're doing that in a hurry once the patient has arrived. Next, when the patient is then shifted to the ward, we automatically imagine, okay, there's more continuous monitoring, there's more, but the reality is it's actually sporadic and episodic monitoring that happens in the ward. Usually, especially things like vital signs are collected once every 4 to 8 hours, depending on how busy the ward is. So there are these massive gaps in data, in monitoring that happens between vital signs checks. In those gaps, if there is, for example, an unnoticed internal bleed that's happening in the patient slowly is becoming hypovolemic, hypotensive, then you're going to miss those kinds of deterioration. And often that leads to RRT calls, MET calls, as they say in UK, or it leads to the shift to the ICU, etc. And so these deteriorations are going missed today. And we were thinking about how can we solve that, especially in the ward scenario, and then elsewhere too. Next, if the patient does deteriorate to a point where they need to go to surgery, followed by ICU or directly to ICU, and then ICU, you have a plethora of data, right? You have a lot of continuous monitoring coming in, but that's just a lot of data. It's not insights, it's just a lot of data. The insights, of course, is by the clinical team. And then you move the patient back to the ward. Again, it goes back down to 4 to 8 hours, Q4, Q8 sort of monitoring of the patient, and there's a chance of bounce back that is often happening. How do we catch those? These are all problems in that sort of patient journey that typically happens either through trauma or through other reasons that they're coming into the hospital. And finally, when the patient does leave the walls of the hospital, no more data. It's absolutely not there. In fact, the patient themselves don't want to come back. So even if they are deteriorating at home, you really have no clue. The patient also tries to avoid. And finally, when they do come back, it's much more severe than they need it to be. So from a framing of what is going on in terms of gaps, we see a tremendous amount of gap throughout the echelons of care that we see through the pre, post, and during hospitalization. There you go. So what began a few years ago of trying to extend ICU level of monitoring to the ward. We first began with that, and many hospitals started liking what we do. They started adopting our systems. But the problem became that they started saying, hey, can you go to the ER? Because we have this other issue in the ER. We need continuous monitoring there. Can you go to our step-down units? Can you go here? Can you go there? Can you also bring what you are developed as a predictive model to our ICUs? So we started organically getting a lot of requests. So over the years, we have hardened our system to now go across the board. So what we have done is provided continuous monitoring in what would typically be considered episodic monitoring areas. So we have wearables. We are actually agnostic to wearables, but we have fantastic wearables, different profiles, different formats that you can put on patients and get continuous readout, both from ambulance to home and everything in between. Even the ICU, your existing bedside monitors that you've already done a lot of CapEx on, it's okay. So we have teamed up with a company called R2, which allows us to capture that data from the ICU, from your existing monitors, and feed it to our system. Now you have this continuous gamut of data about that patient from start to finish. And so there's no gaps as far as at least the vital signs monitoring and stuff is concerned. Now, if you think about what else we had to build, if you think of hospital administration from a CIO, CMIO perspective, they have to deal with about 200 softwares, independent softwares inside their organization on a typical basis. So we built this entire governance infrastructure, which allows us to help them make this a plug-and-play system. So we provide integration into their existing EHR systems. It doesn't matter which EHR. We have data security, privacy, like any other company should in this healthcare space, HIPAA, GDPR, etc. Regulatory compliance, workflow integration. We work with the clinicians to understand their workflow, manage the changes in their workflow. And also, more importantly, when we enter a hospital, we look at it as our starting point, not our ending point. Because from there on, we help monitor the real efficacy of our product. Is it really working? How much is it working? Where is it not working? On which patient did it fail? So we provide an entire platform to help monitor its performance so that the workflow can change around it. So on top of all of that, we have a fantastic set of AI modules. Many of them are machine learning based. It was trained with the help of fantastic researchers at the University of Michigan, where I used to teach in a past life. But the models there, then we brought it to India and we have retrained it for the Indian population, for the Indian models. Very well published. We have plenty of patents on it. And what the models have done now is allowed us to do sort of predictive monitoring throughout the space. So if you're looking at identifying deterioration, we are predicting deterioration. This is a simple UI that we have produced because machine learning models can be complex in the way it presents itself as results. We have simplified it. Traffic light system. Green, patients are stable. Orange, elevated risk, so start doing blood pressures more often, etc. just increased vigilance. Red, definitely deterioration. If you have not recognized it by the bedside, we have. That's what red means. Blue is equivalent to your code blue, RRTs, etc. I'm going to speed up here. Shift reports, discharge summaries, vital. Since we have the whole gamut of data, press a button, you get this entire reporting done through generative AI in our system. Because it's all digital first and wearables and portable, we have the entire hub and spoke model also built in. Many hospitals across India are using our hub and spoke model to do eICU setup and so on. So reimagining the same journey of the patient, you have a much more enabled ambulance, which is continuously streaming. There is no gaps. Even if the enablement of the technology doesn't exist inside the ambulance, if it's an ordinary ambulance, we still provide wearables where you're able to get continuous monitoring. You then move during the transport. A lot of time we spoke about how it takes very long. We are continuously streaming, including a video feed to the ER doc, so that the ERs are constantly observing the patients, guiding the paramedic and ensuring that they're able to capture this sort of deterioration or help them, guide them in resuscitating the patient and making sure they're stabilized. ER is much more well prepared by the time the patient reaches there. ICU, bedside monitors, ward, home, we have it all covered in terms of how we're getting this continuous monitoring so we can reduce readmissions, etc. We also provide eICU support with our own team, but we also come in and train your own hospitals to build your own eICU setup so you can do virtual care setting across the board from your hub and spoke model or feeder hospitals. Now, this is really quickly an assessment, an analysis that we done in a large southern hospital in India. We looked at the typical precursors of RRTs or escalation of care, bradycardia, hypotension, etc. For at least 15 minutes, it should have occurred. We looked at about 1,000 patients spanning across ER and ward. In the ER, 80% of those events we predicted before your typical News 2, Muse, and Q-SOFA. In the ward, we predicted 92% of the time before any of those did. If you think about how News 2 and all works, they change when the vitals are already deteriorated. We predict that. So we end up being earlier than them by default. And all of this is published, by the way, in about across journals. About 5 to 6 hours, depending on the amount of data we had ER, it was lesser, but of course about 5 hours before, you'll start seeing a trend change in our risk profiling of the patient. In the ER, 80% of the folks who had red were admitted, and most of them to the ICU. The 20% who were not admitted, but still got a red warning from our system, were either discharged against medical device, they walked out because they didn't care for the treatment, or they died. So technically, we really flagged almost all the patients who required some sort of hospitalization. In the ward, we flagged red on only a small group of patients because most of the patients in the ward are relatively stable. But that small group had 39 times more likelihood of having a clinical incident. So that's what we noticed through retrospective analysis, that they actually had clinical outcomes. So finally, 33% reduction in ward to ICU transfers, 40% reduction in code blue. We are hoping to make that zero in that hospital. And now we are in Marengo Asia, so we're hoping to make that even better with the Marengo Asia team. So thank you so much.
In the next 10 seconds, I'm going to be the most popular person in the room. We will break for lunch right after the awards, so we will not be doing the next session just yet. It is my distinct honor to invite Dr. Rajiv Singhal back on stage to explain the concept of Marengovation and what it is that we are exactly trying to do. The future does look so bright, and Sir will also be doing the honors, and please announce the awards, the winner for the session.
Thanks. As Shibal said, we'll just try to make it short before the lunch. This concept of Marengovation was started right at the time when we formed Marengo Asia Hospitals. And the idea was to basically continue to work with the people who are ignited minds, those who are basically working in startups. Can we give hospital platform to them so they can have the use case scenarios as far as the hospitals are concerned? That was the concept, simple concept of Marengovation. And today, two of the people who are presenting here, they have been working with our consultants. I, by design default, happen to also head the Nat Health Startup Committee at a national level also, where all the innovators, they come and pitch their products in that committee, and from that, we provide the Marengo Asia platform to our consultants, and a lot of consultants Dr. Hemant, Dr. Praveen, other people who in our ecosystem are actually working. Dr. Dhiren in Ahmedabad, Dr. YC Shah sir is sitting here. They have been working with a lot of innovative products on this. Just as a matter of reference, we have been using this product, bioscience, life sciences stuff. We were awarded twice in last 1 year for having zero code blue in our cardiac patients in a hospital. Zero code blue in 3 months' time. And the data suggest that 23% of the patients only survive for more than 1 year if they had a witnessed cardiac arrest in a hospital setting because the myocardium is damaged. So that is the impact the data can actually bring to this particular story. Going forward, fast forward, Marengovation will try to also invest into these startups. That is something which we are committed to, and we'll take this to a very next level from this thing. We may create a separate vehicle to basically invest into the startup. So I just want to give you some kind of encouragement from that. Moving forward, once I want to thank you guys because doing a startup is not easy. You have taken the initiative to basically build something better for the mankind. So I want to thank you for doing this and wish you a great success. Not taking too much of time. Are there any questions which people want or any comment from George or Dr. Praveen? Anything which you want, somebody wants to interact, I would just happy to basically just couple of few minutes of interaction if it's fine. Anybody from the crowd excited? Somebody wants to say anything? Okay. Perfect. Sir.
How much does your system cost to install at home?
The robotic system we generally don't install in homes.
Okay, so it's only in the hospital?
Generally, yeah.
So is there a plan to provide it at home also?
Considering we have a clinical partner who is monitoring the patient and prescribing the protocol, we do engage in such models. But
because that will obviate necessity for elderly people coming to hospital every day after discharge.
Correct. So I think we have been thinking about this, but currently the lack of expertise in the general...
Or you can use a software which they can see on their laptop or smartphone. Because we developed this for trauma center. We did a project, Australia-India trauma system collaboration. And there we developed very simple things what patients post-discharge need to do. And we also developed a call center. So maybe you can think of, for Marengo Asia, it will not be difficult for you to have a call center also so that the patients can call you and get guidance.
Correct.
So I think, perfect. So I think somewhere down the line, you guys can connect and anything else. So I think let's move on to the much awaited, who are the guys who are going to, first I want to give a participatory award to Raimo for basically presenting what they have done as a part of encouragement. Can I have Dr. George giving this? Yeah. So these two guys have actually put the jury in a lot of stress in saying who should be the winner. One is early stage, the second one is some, I would say, slightly must advanced, but I think there's a data to back up. And I think the point is to basically declare joint winners. So I think these two youngsters, Ripples and Life Sciences, they will be basically given the joint winners. Can I request Dr. Ali to do the honors? Dr. Ali. Dr. Ali to do the honors of giving it to Life Sciences. Yes. can we request Lydia? We were missing you yesterday and we didn't see you on the stage much. If you can come and do the honors of giving the next award to Ripples. A round of applause for the youngsters. They have done an amazing job. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. And I think we break for lunch. So, anything you want to say? Okay, so we break for lunch, and what time we gather? 30 minutes, because I think that's the time we would say. 30 minutes is good enough because some people are going to eat less, and those otherwise we can eat fast. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we break for lunch at 1:40, which means we should reconvene by 15 past 2. There'll be a warning mail 10 minutes before time, and we shall hopefully commence on time thereafter. Thank you so much.